Order, shot fire, officer down, shot fire, officer down. Got a city officer down, shot fire.
223, be advised, we have a visual on enemy paratroopers in grid Papa uniforms.
Welcome to the Resilient Warrior Nation, a podcast dedicated to inspiring hope and healing for first responders, military veterans, and anyone facing PTSD and trauma.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Resilient Warrior Nation podcast. I'm your host, Mike Morgan. Have a special episode today. Usually I have first responder and veteran guests, but today I have something special in store for you guys. Excuse me. Let me introduce our guests. First, we have Andrew Pearson, and I apologize. Usually it's ladies first, but when I wrote up the script here, I started typing with Andrew's info. Andrew Pearson holds an MBA from the University of Scranton and has undertaken advanced studies in public policy at Northwestern University. Andrew is a multi-award winning producer and actor and has had several high-profile projects slated for release. Andrew's distinguished radio career spans 12 years, encompassing management and on-air talent roles. Andrew has provided coverage of prestigious music events, including the MTV Music Awards and Fox Music Awards. Carissa Pearson is an up-and-coming producer in the horror film genre and is the CEO of Death Stalker Productions. I love that name, by the way, and has contributed to a number of horror films. Carissa has over 30 years of experience working as a critical care nurse. Carissa's worked in a variety of settings, including emergency and trauma units, various ICU units, burn units, amongst others. Her time as a trauma nurse has also exposed her to different kind of PTSD. And growing up, she had to contend with a father who struggled with his demons from his time being deployed during the Vietnam War. Together, they are responsible for the creation of the horror film A Soldier's Descent, which is grounded in a soldier and former POW returning from war, a broken man suffering from PTSD issues. Guys, I'd like to welcome you to the podcast. As I said before, you're definitely atypical guests of whom I usually host. But when you guys got in touch with me, told me about your production, and we spoke about it, in addition to it being a horror film, it's grounded in reality with the drama-based issues, shall we say, of a soldier returning from PTSD. And although it's called a horror, these horrors have manifested themselves with guys coming back, broken men from war, who've unfortunately taken other lives when they're contending with their PTSD. So it's a very serious issue, and I'm very happy to have you guys both on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So please, let's start off with what the movie's about. Either one, whoever wants to take the horns, kind of tell us about your movie, how it came to fruition, the plot. I know you guys are doing crowdsourcing, correct? That's the proper verbiage, all right. Just kind of tell everyone about the whole, not experiment, the whole project, so to speak.
Well, why don't you, Andrew, take how you ended up getting the project?
So it was interesting. Phil Herman's the writer of A Soldier's Descent, and Phil has been in movie making for about 30 years. So he's a personal friend of ours, great guy, brilliant film writer. And he came to me one day, goes, you and Carissa should do a movie. You've done so much for the independent film community. Why don't you guys do a movie? He gave me two movies. And I'm like, one of them was called Barney, which is A Soldier's Descent. The other one was just a grindhouse type movie. And I'm reading them both, kind of going, which one's kind of easier to make? I mean, I kind of like the one with the military background here. And this sound, and I usually play a lot of military, in different movies and police, and just my build and character comes off that way. So I said, let's go to Barney. And I said, let me have Carissa look over the script and see if she's down for this. But I said, Phil, it's definitely original, and it's just, I don't think anything's been done like this before. So I said, I think we've got something here. So I had Carissa read it, and she's like, okay, I'm down with this. Let's do it. And I said, well, who are we having playing Barney? You are. Okay, I'm playing Barney. I'm used to playing, the bad guy, in a movie, like the tough guy, not the broken guy. So it's definitely new for me. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm sure I can do that. I'm an actor. And we started looking at the script, and we brought Guthrie Lowe, our director, on, and it just started unfolding from there. Because when the writer gives you a script, it's made for like a novel, not necessarily a movie. So
Okay.
they had to make it into a movie, you know. So Carissa and Guthrie were ripping apart the script, and I remember the first thing Guthrie said is, "What's with the military stuff? We do not want to piss off the military." And I'm like, no, 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 I think you're missing it here. I think this is like, you know, really good, and I don't think you're going to make anyone mad. I think it's going to be an awakening of, you know, PTSD, suicide. There's domestic abuse in there. There's substance abuse. I said, we've got a lot of hard-hitting things in this movie. And he's like, no,
Yeah.
the military's going to hate it. So we started putting it together, and I remember we launched the movie, like just at the beginning, we're like, okay, we're going to put a Facebook group together, and we had about 500 people sign up right away, and we started dropping things about the movie, and I guess one morning Phil texts me and he goes, Andrew, did you see the comment in the group? And I'm like, oh, is this movie about PTSD and suicide and stuff? And I'm like, oh boy, we're getting backlash already. I'm like, Phil, no, I'll have Carissa answer it. So Carissa, it was a doctor. It was a psychologist, either a psychologist or someone in that type of field that deals with PTSD and whatnot. He goes, no, this is exactly what we need. People need to be talking about this. Anything that brings it to the light is going to be positive, especially if it's entertaining and people remember it. So I was like, okay, maybe we should put more elements of this into the movie. And it started just evolving. You know, I looked at this, I said, if we're going to do this right, we have to have triggers put in, you know, and
Yeah, absolutely.
I said we have to, and we have to go back and see, because it's based around the Desert Storm era, which is it's fictional. I mean, not a lot of capturing happened, and, you know, people weren't held in captivity that many in Desert Storm.
Can I ask you one question about that? Why now, since you're dealing with the PTSD trauma, and it could be the battle in Afghanistan and Iraq were going on for much longer. So why is there a reason why you guys don't kind of transition to that war, that time period? Is there
Yeah,
something else
there
that
is a
kind of
reason.
I think
Yeah,
Phil wrote it because, you know, that was the first big war since Nam, and everyone was
Okay.
on the edge of their seat. You know, I grew up with that. I'm old. I'll tell you, I look younger than what I am. I'm older. So that was the war.
Yeah, I'm
That,
56, so we're probably how old are you?
50,
Are you allowed to divulge?
going on 51. I always get 30s, but
All right.
so it was the first big war that, I mean, I was in high school going, okay, we're signing up. You know, for, you know, I don't know if they still have it for selective service and whatnot, but I remember signing up and everyone's all nervous and going, you know, and my parents are like, you know, they're not going to treat the soldiers like they did Nam coming back. It's not going to happen. I remember, and I was at first I was like, you know, this didn't really happen as much during this, but I like the fact that, you know, it was the first big war since Nam. It had a lot of meaning to it with the yellow ribbons. I love that. I really do.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
it
I
was
remember
well.
that.
And, you know, just the fact that, you know, I grew up in that era, I was like, we could do this. And it was just, we started adding things back in the movie. It was like, okay, we need to have, you know, sessions with PTSD. We actually have military people with their own dogs that are, you know, special needs dogs coming on the movie that are telling their stories in the movie for a horror film. And I'm like, this is
Yeah.
crazy. So I said, you know, we're adding the military parts in the front where you rescue me, but I'm being tortured. And we looked up all the torture for the movie that was going on during Desert Storm, and we put that in because I think it's important. We had me lose. I come back. My wife thought I was gone. You know, she thought I was.
And when we
MIA.
added that part, just to add into that, a lot of the feedback that I got working with the soldiers in Fort Bragg, they would tell me they would leave. You know, they would go on their deployment assignments, and they would come back, and their wives would have left them, moved on, and didn't stay because for whatever the reality was, they just weren't able to handle their partner being gone.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
it's a common theme.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
felt like we really need to bring some of these real life themes that we're seeing so we can have some of these discussions and so that the civilian life and people that are in the civilian world can kind of get a clue about what's going on and
Yeah.
not just being in the dark.
No, it's absolutely
And
100%
that's
true.
one of the big things was, you know, I come back, my wife's gone. She's with a friend of mine. I was missing in action for a year.
Wow.
And
They had insult to injury. And if you have that, you coming back to that?
And then, yeah, I mean, and it's like, okay, that was one thing that was keeping me alive during
Yeah.
that time, is thinking about my wife, the wife I loved, and it's gone. And then I go, you know, I've had enough of this. I have a cabin that we had together in the woods. I'm going to move into this cabin because I don't want to deal with anything. And I have one friend that used to check on me all the time. and then he was taken from me by these just reckless campers, and that was it. That was a straw in the back, and that just sent everything downhill from there. And there's a lot
Okay.
of things I didn't fill in because I don't want to give away the movie, but
Yeah, of course.
we have scenes where I'm in the parking lot with a gun, and someone stops me, and it's at that point where I just the mental anguish that I'm going through is just to the point where I'm like I don't want to deal with it anymore, and I'm lucky someone I know stops me, but. That's in there. Domestic abuse. A good friend of mine, Christina Lafser, is playing Sue in there, and she's a woman that tries to like me afterwards, and I'm still a mess for my wife.
Oh, of
And
course.
it just things didn't work out the right way, and there's a lot of that in this movie, and a big studio can't deliver that. Sony's not going to touch it. Universal's not going to touch a movie like this. They
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want they don't want the backlash. They don't want to have something this controversial and have a horror movie. And we were talking to one of the vets, and he's like, Andrew, there have been 10 serial killers that were veterans, and I'm like, what? On top of all the people
It's
that take
amazing.
their lives, it's crazy. So I'm like, we've
Yeah.
got to make this movie. And Carissa will tell you, what about the horror community? How's the horror community taking this movie?
The horror community has pretty much turned their back on this movie.
Really?
In my mind, yes. They
Because
don't
of the
want,
subject matter of PTSD
it
and
doesn't
all the
matter to
issues going on with
them.
the soldier.
Yeah,
But
because
that's why they turned their back?
I
yeah,
think it's
they're not
Really?
dealing with it. They don't have, it's not in their life, so they don't want to support it. And to me, it broke my heart because I had to grow up with my dad being from Vietnam era, coming back, having to deal with his PTSD, and I love my father, and I
Of
had to
course.
work really hard to get him to talk about it. And a lot of times he didn't want to talk about it,
No.
but I never gave up hitting him all the time to talk about it, and the triggers.
Did he eventually open up to you
Yes,
and speak to you? He
yes.
did.
Yeah, he did. And that's why this is so passionate for me because so many people don't have that opportunity with their parents. And
Yeah.
so many people don't have that opportunity with their partners. You're going through something. If you can't talk about it and open up, we can't get help. And everybody in the medical field that I have seen, the doctors just want to give them Percocet, Oxy, medicine that are going to take your mood down, going to
Yep.
numb you, and that's not a solution at all.
Not at all.
And
Not at all.
it breaks families apart. It destroys men, and I'm tired of watching people suffer. And I'm here to listen, and I'm here to help. But for once, I have an opportunity to make this movie, and I want to get this out and put this in theater so that people can see what's going on and be
Yeah.
entertained by it at the same time. And I'm very disappointed in the horror community and in the indie film community because a lot of people aren't supporting something. And this isn't just a fictional movie. This is a fictional movie that has real life themes to it, and
100%.
that's why I think it matters and it needs to be made.
Oh, I think it's funny, and it's not a ha-ha funny that you say that people in the horror community say they're not touched by this. How are they not touched by this? When you look at veteran community, and you could also include the first responder community, it's not 6 degrees of separation. You're separated potentially by 1 or 2 degrees, whether it's friends, families, neighbors. First responders or a veteran in your life that surround you and the things that they're going through. To say that for someone to say that they're not touched by that, is so naive to me because they're us. We are them. They are everyone. They're common men and women.
Well, it's
It's
not
not, we're
just
not
that.
talking about Navy SEAL Team 6 guys where, there's 200 of them in the world. We're talking about thousands upon thousands of people that have served.
And not just that. If you take another layer of that onion back, take another peel back. How many people know nurses?
Yeah.
How many
You guys
of
are in the
those?
front line.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter what layer of a nurse you are, you're still dealing with people. And in our world, in the worldwide aspect of caring for sicknesses and illnesses, we don't have enough research on the mental anguish. We have not enough research on the care for mental health. And that's why we have an epidemic. And to me, it's a pandemic. I'm tired of eye witnessing people trying to commit suicide. And
Hmm.
it's not just in the veteran community; it's across.
No,
It's everywhere, but everybody wants to be quiet about it, and I don't. I want people to start talking. Just yesterday, coming in from work, I looked in because I'm leading a team. We have to look at what's coming in through the ER because right now I'm working on a step down ICU unit, and we have to look to see, okay, let's prepare for the day because we may have to start pulling people up or getting people out of the unit so we can accept people. There was 11 minors sitting in the ER that have tried to commit suicide. We have a problem in this
wow,
country, and we need to change that. And I
that's
feel that
crazy.
this film can at least get a conversation started and at least get the wheels going.
Yeah, you know, to your point, we had a mental health call one night, and I called up Stony Brook. CPEP is I forgot what the acronym stands for, but I called up the unit because the girl was she was single figures. I don't know if she was eight, she was a 9 year old, but I called them up just to ensure that they take kids that young. And the guy like laughed. He's like, yeah, of course. He goes, bro, we've had a 5 year old suicide on here before. I'm like, a 5 year old?
Yes.
I don't even understand the concept of death, bro. He's like, yup. And then as I'm talking, my two partners that were with me one night kind of got a little quiet and started telling me about a story about a 7 year old that had a couple years before. He tried to put himself in the dryer because he wanted to kill himself. They CPAP'd him and ended up committing suicide before the age of 10.
Yeah.
So this is not just a problem that is, solely in the first responder veteran community. This is worldwide. But to your point, like the age of these people that are kids that are talking about suicide would shock people if they knew what was going on out there.
Yeah.
And,
Truly.
and this movie just, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen one that even covers the topics like this. And it's like when you
No.
watch it, you'll be like, "Is this real?" And people are, Jaws are going to be hitting the ground watching this movie. I already know that, and I'm like, it's like, okay, the veterans are in, they want to see it, but we need support. The horror community's like, well, I don't know. It's not people running around in rubber masks killing each other and stuff. So it's a very serious movie.
Yeah.
It is. It's as serious as it gets, and it's a slasher movie. Like, I don't understand what the problem is because it's pure entertainment. People love. I mean, the horror community, they're like, how are they killed? I want to know about it. Is it this kill, this kind? I mean, I like horror. It's not my go-to, but I play in horror movies, so it's all right. But,
Yeah.
at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's like, why? There's like 13 different kills in the movie, but at the end of the day, we put the stuff back in because people were like, this could really happen. We talked to our people like, Andrew, this could really happen. And we're like,
It
okay,
has.
what do we need to put back in this movie for people to go, wait a minute? They have meetings like this where they're sitting. What else do they have? They have. I go to a doctor like twice in the movie, and I'm like, these pills aren't working. What do you want? You
Yeah.
want to keep drugging me? I mean, what do you? And it's like they have that problem. They have, the flashbacks, the triggers, and I'm like, we got to put all of this in. And it will be hard. Certain people are going to watch this movie. They may walk out, and that's not our goal. It's just to awaken people, but it's going to be hard hitting, and that's what I'm like. If
Yeah.
we're going to do this, we're doing it right. We're doing it. We're taking the foot off the gas, and it's going. And it's got to be done the right way. It's got to be big. Go big or go home. And that's how I was always raised.
Yeah.
Go big or go home. And it's like I don't care. It's like we're hauling this huge building down the road with a couple of us trying to move this movie forward, but once it's out, I already know it's going to be people are going to be talking about this. There's nothing been done. Rambo's the closest thing that's ever been touched, and that was more for Vietnam, but it still covered PTSD, and it was huge for the vets. And that was what 40 years ago.
43, right?
Yeah.
82, I think. So that's 43 years ago.
43 years
Yeah.
ago. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's a long time for something not to be addressed. And then not to be addressed in a current way, knowing that we've had like 10 or 11 vets that have been serial killers, knowing that this issue with, anywhere from 17 to 22 people taking their lives every day that are vets.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we're talking about revising those estimates to possibly double that.
I think
I
it's
just saw.
triple.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, you're never going to know for sure because if someone's slowly killing themselves, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be that one act where, you're hanging yourself or shooting yourself. That it could just be you're killing yourself daily. And I'm sure there are thousands that are doing that. But I just saw a press conference where Marcus Capone is a former SEAL and big in the IB community. Him and his wife are testifying at Congress. And I think they were talking upwards of 160,000 veterans
Yeah.
that were veterans of Afghanistan and Iraq war have committed suicide. 160,000 people. And and it was just something that was passed today in Florida about criminalizing mushroom spores, which don't even uh, contain active psilocybin, but this stuff has been proven to heal. And these guys are criminalizing in that. It's disgusting what's going on in this country. And Big
Yeah.
Pharma is behind all of it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, they're not getting
Hmm.
their drug money out of it, so they're like, oh, we're not
That's
doing
why.
Yeah,
anything
That's
that
why they're
works
doing it.
out there on the
yeah,
side. That's that could help people. And yeah, it's if I looked at it this way, I told Carissa, I told Guthrie, I told everyone, if we save one person with this movie, one, it was worth being made. But I think there's a lot
yep,
more that's going to be saved with this movie. I think there's too many messages in here not to be out because it could happen. Someone said we were talking to someone we were trying to bring on cast. We won't say who, but they're like their agent. They said, "Listen, this could really happen." And I'm like, "Are you?" And
oh
I
yeah,
thought maybe it's a little far fetched. It's fictional. He goes, "No, Andrew." I've been in rooms where something's said the wrong way and someone snaps like that, and you gotta wait, and hopefully everything's gonna turn out good. And I'm like, this is crazy. And ever since we've been doing this, people are sharing stories with me. I have a director I'm doing a sci-fi movie with over the summer, and he's like, "Listen, I know you don't know about all." And I was a vet, and PTSD. I just wanted to tell you, if I'm on set and I'm standing there and I freeze up and I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, all of a sudden people are telling me all these things, and I'm like, he's like, don't approach me from the front, from the back, keep an arm's length apart, tap my shoulder, or just, but don't come too close. And I'm like, what?
exactly.
It's
Stand
just
on your left
like,
leg while singing "Happy
I'm
Birthday."
like, I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
but
that's fine. We have instructions, but I was like, I appreciate you sharing it with me. I'm not the expert. I'm an actor. I'm the guy that's playing this. But they ever since they found out the movie's about, and I'm playing Sergeant Barney Griffith, and we had a lot of people share their stories with us, and they go, listen,
yeah.
it's fine. You just got to get the word out. And I'm like, I couldn't agree more.
Guys and girls will be open with you. It's not this thing where once they start speaking about it, they clam up. Like they want to talk about it. A lot of times they don't want to talk about themselves, but they will open up as far as, maybe they'll put whatever's going on someone else. Although they're speaking about themselves, they don't want to use their first person. But um, they're a lot of times they're aware of what's going on. The problem is guys don't know who to talk to, and we're in these hyper masculinized professions and we're told that showing emotion or feeling emotion is weakness. And the truth is, truth be told, during the course of events, you cannot stop and sit here and think about, Carissa may feel the same way, but I tell people, I don't even think of them as human beings at that point when we're working them, because then you start thinking about it being a father or a mother or a kid, and then
Yeah.
everything else that comes along with it. And now excuse me, you have to sit there and focus on that thing in front of you. And that's the way you have to look at them. It sounds so cold, but you cannot think of them as human beings.
Mm,
And, Carissa, I don't know if you feel the same way, but
I so do because there's been so many times I've walked in an ER room, and I have never shared this with Andrew, but I walk in and I have to step back a second because the body build looks like my husband, and it's a doe, and you get scared. As a nurse, you get scared because every time you walk in that room, you don't know if that's going to be your loved one, and so you have to protect yourself, and you compartmentalize, you put your
yeah,
emotions away, and sometimes that comes off that we're cold. Many times I've walked out of rooms that I've lost people, and I have to walk right around the corner to the next room, and I've got to be, here's your discharge papers, this is
yep,
what you have to do, and I have to have that fake smile, and it right there, it's there, that emotion, but I'm shoving it back. I'm trying not to cry, and I'm a
yeah,
crier. I try not to cry. I get them out, and then I have to just get around the corner as quick as I can, get the tears out as fast as I can, and then choke myself back down and just numb. And you're walking through, and then by the end of the day, whether it's a 12-hour day or you got through 3 12s, and they were hard 12s. you have to come home and you have to somehow get this out. But
Yeah.
you can't talk to your spouse about it because they don't understand the realities of you have a trauma come in and the person didn't make it within 5 minutes. You had a trauma you ran because they were 28 years old and you ran that trauma for over an hour and they still didn't make it. So
Yep.
it's a lot. And so when I look at this movie, and we have been really trying, we're in the middle of what we call pre-production and campaign funding. And because it's a crowd-funded movie, I need the support of folks that are going to watch our movie. I need monetary support. And it's sad because I don't have that fat bank account to
Yeah.
fund the movie. And I'm just being real. I just don't. I wish I
Yeah.
did.
Most of us don't.
If I did, it would be no holds barred and we'd roll this baby out in no time. But the reality is I need the support. And when I say that, I'm not asking for millions and millions of dollars. What I'm asking is when you go on the campaign, the Indiegogo campaign for a soldier's descent, there is a section that's called contribution. And the reality is if somebody just put in $25 and it took, what, Andrew, you're the math guy here, $25, break it down.
How many are you looking for? For a total of what?
Well, we need a total of 150K.
That's actually not a lot for a movie. They spent
That
50
was it,
million
6,000
making
people?
movies.
Yeah.
Let me see. 6,000. I'm thinking 6,000. I'll do it real quick. 150 grand, 6,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say
That's
five,
not a lot
but
of-
yeah, I'm not a math genius.
It's not a lot of people. And when I broke that down in the horror community and I asked, hey, can anybody just do the contribution of $20? And I broke it down, not a peep. And it broke my heart because it's like, I can't move this movie. I can't make this movie if I
Right.
don't get funding. And, with crowdfunding, you do have sections of, we have perks for people for producer perks. We have people that are crowdfunding their roles as well. And it gives them the opportunity to have live reels and be able to further their acting career, because
Yeah.
everybody has to start somewhere. And so I guess that's why I tell people this is why I'm coming on platforms, not just to talk about the issues that are in the movie, but to also ask for help because I'm not going to give up, but it might
Yep.
take me a little bit longer to get this baby done.
Right.
And the reality is this is something that is so important and is going to help so many people. And I guess that's why I'm just not going to give up.
Yeah. I love the passion.
And
I
I'm,
mean,
I'm
it's
not
definitely
getting
a passion
paid.
project for you guys.
And everyone thinks I'm the main. I'm not getting a dime. No, it actually costs me
Oh, really?
to make the movie. So if
Yep.
anything, I'm the lead actor not getting paid, and I'm putting money in my own money, whatever we have, into the movie as well. So I mean, it's strange to hear, and the fact that we can make a movie of cinema quality with Dolby that could be playing in the theaters for 150,000 with production, with everything is crazy. I mean, do you know how lean we got to be making a movie like that? It's just it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah.
And we've seen it, and the story is unique enough that people are going to be like, we've got to see this movie. Just because there's too many issues. I mean, the only time they address these issues are documentaries, and I like documentaries,
Yeah.
but people aren't like, yes, let's go home. And no, they want to be entertained. Let's face it, everyone wants to be entertained.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's
Yeah.
like, you'd rather see me, the big guy that looks special forces killing people. I mean, that's what people want to see. They want to see the big guy, stat, whatever. But we want to take it one level further and add those elements because it needs to be told. You can't just have me walking around a movie killing people for no reason. There has to be a good background with it. And then we figured we're not only doing the background, we're doing as much of it as we can because this needs to get out. This needs to be spread. It was like an onion for me. I'm like, how many people kill themselves daily? What? How many vets are there? And I'm just going like this, unpeeling this, and I'm like, this is insane. It's seriously insane. And it's like, why wouldn't you get behind something that's going to draw, like, people are going to want to go see it for the entertainment value, but get educated right then on what's really going
Exactly.
on. That's the best type of movie, in my opinion.
And they
Yeah.
don't even know that they're getting educated. They don't even realize
Exactly.
that because
Yeah.
we're entertaining you. You're going to fall in love with Barney. You're going to fall in love with Judy. You're going to love Lenny. Oh, you're really going to love Lenny. You're going to love Mel. Mel is one of my favorite characters. And I have worked hard on creating Mel because Mel does something that I have seen so many times in this country that has made me very angry. And Mel's character, you're going to love him and you're going to hate him. And you're going to be glad with what happens to him.
Can you
Because,
say what he does that makes you angry?
yeah, I'll be happy to because it's something that I'm sure you have dealt with, and Andrew has seen it as well. Mel disrespects the veteran publicly, and he gets what's coming to him for doing that.
Nice.
But I've seen it, whether it's the tap of the why are you still wearing that? Or, the comments of, well, you're not in the military anymore. I hear that all the time. And it irritates me because it's like this, what you have sacrificed doesn't go away. You
Yeah.
sacrificed for our country. If that sacrifice didn't happen, I wouldn't be sitting here today in my house, comfortable, number one. I wouldn't have the career I've had. I wouldn't even have the opportunity as a female to be a movie producer because I'm a female. When we've traveled across the world, I have been the realities of what the world is compared to the United States. I am not a first class citizen in the world. I know that.
Yeah.
I've been educated. A lot of other people have not. And so that's why I'm passionate about some of the characters and some of the themes that we've brought in to the movie because I want people to see what's going on and at the same time be entertained with it and
Yeah.
then later on be talking to their family members going, wow, I understand that character, or I never thought of it like that. Or Uncle Joe, who was in the military, and they start talking about that, and then they might happen to pick up the phone and call the guy, because there's so many
Yeah.
times that we don't do those phone checks. So many times.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's the one thing that might save somebody is a phone check and going, hey, are you okay? Because I haven't heard from you. Or I'm sorry, my life went this way and I just completely forgot to check in.
And I think,
Yeah. No, super important.
and at the beginning of the movie, and it was my idea. I've seen it with Angel Studios when they had Sound of Freedom. So one of the actors came out at the beginning and said, "Listen, this is a real story. We're gonna have resources to tell you about how you can help at the end." So at the beginning of A Soldier's Descent, especially for the theater, it's gonna be, "Hi, I'm Andrew Pearson. I play Sergeant Barney Griffith in the movie. This movie is a fictional horror slasher psychological thriller, but it deals with very real topics, including PTSD for veterans, suicide." Substance abuse, domestic abuse, and more. And at the end of the movie, if you or someone is having issues with these, we're going to have some resources for you. Enjoy A Soldier's Descent. So, we know we can be responsible filmmakers and do that, and we should. And at the end, we'd love to. I mean, we have one of the dogs, is helping one of the vets in the movie. We're like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, we're going to have a dog in the movie? This is great. And it's like, this is cool because there's like the Hero Company does stuff where they donate whatever, portion to help vets get dogs. It's a great company. I'd love to have a sponsor like that too. But I mean, we want to be responsible. I know it's a horror movie. We want to be responsible with the topics. We have to be. We would be doing it an injustice if we weren't. And
Yeah.
I never served, and I like Carissa was talking about, and people think I have, and I know our military is not always treated well. They've treated me like garbage, thinking I'm military, and I'm like, excuse me, this is how you treat our military? Because they think right away. They look at me and they're like, oh, you're military, you're former military, you're military, and I'm like, what? I mean, these are people giving their lives for your country that you're living in, and you treat them like garbage? Oh my God, I'm floored, because I always thought it was going to be the opposite. I'm like, wow, after Nam, it's going to be great. People are going to, they appreciate our military. They served. It was great. And I've witnessed firsthand, especially when I got bigger. I mean, I'm a big guy. If you saw the video I don't know if you saw it yet for the movie that we made, but that's me in there. And I'm a big guy.
Not that you've seen.
But
Yep.
but yeah, that's me. And someone's like, can't believe that's you. It's not even your same facial expressions or anything. But I'm just floored on how our veterans are treated. And not by everyone. There's a lot of great people in the world, but
Yeah.
I've had enough bad
Overwhelming majority
experiences that I'm
like
like,
them. and respect them.
Yeah, I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Come on. Show some dignity for the people that served our country and protected it. We've gone through a lot since the founding of our country, and it won't stop. It'll keep getting harder for our country, and we're going to need people dedicated to help serve. So let's treat them with some dignity and respect and help them with these issues because they're not going away, and it's not fair to have someone come back and want to kill themselves because they can't handle life. We need to get this word out. We need to save some people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's incredible that you get people treating veterans with disrespect. The veteran, no veterans coming back, and first of all, they have no input whatsoever on where we go and what we do. It's
Hmm.
politicians at the top,
Yeah.
and it's always going to be that way. But they have signed a check, a blank check, up to including their giving their lives for this country. So, I don't care if you hate whatever politicians run in this country or, you know, you had a problem with whatever conflict we got into. It's got nothing to do with that man or woman that served. They serve at the behest of our president and these politicians, and they tell them, point them where to go, tell them, go do your thing. And, to give them anything but respect is disgusting to me because they are willing to die for absolute strangers and some strangers who could care less about them, And we know this going in. It's not something that we don't know, but when you experience it, it does. It kind of pulls you back a little bit, and you're like, whoa, it's there, but when it does hit, it
And
definitely
for
it
me,
hurts a little bit.
it just when I got bigger, I started bodybuilding, and I was always skinny my whole life, and then I turned into like whatever I am now. But that's when people really thought right away, oh, military, I had lieutenant colonel. I'm like, well, I don't even know, I'm like, where'd you get that from? I guess then I met a couple of lieutenant colonels. I'm
Lieutenant
like, I'm the
Colonel.
same size as lieutenant colonel, but I'm like, if you ever see
That's pretty funny.
Reacher, him and I are the same size, so
Hmm.
I'm like the Reacher in B world. But I was like, I told Carissa, I'm like, is this real? This is how we treat this. I never knew until I got this size, and you see me walking around. They're like, and I know they think it because they've made comments about, what do you think you're still in the army or what? I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, I've never served our country before, but I would hope you would treat our vets with a little more respect because they deserve it.
Yeah.
It's not they're not making millions off serving our country. They're doing it
No,
because they believe in
far
it.
from.
It's
Yeah.
like that you have to believe in it and want to do it. And then you come home. That's why when this movie happened, I'm like, wow, I didn't see how big. I knew these were issues, but until we just unpeeled that onion, we didn't get the grasp of how impactful any of it would be until I heard Andrew. As long as people are talking about it, that's what we need. People are not
Yeah.
talking about this. They don't want to talk about it. They're hiding it. And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, and I told Chris, we're doing a slasher movie. Do they know this? It's like, and then it's like, you've got, it's like, it could really happen. And I'm like, and we've seen, and we went to a conference for horror, and I bought Carissa this bear that was, I don't know, this horror teddy bear that had blood all over it. I don't know. She's big at it. She loved horror as a producer. So
That's
we
good.
were talking, and the one guy I had a soldier's descent jacket, movie jacket on. And he's like, "Did you serve?" Yeah, it's the first thing I thought. I'm like, "No, I didn't serve. This is a movie that we're making." We started talking to him about it, and he changed like right then on the spot. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "I hope." And he's like, "I went through," and he started telling us what he'd gone through, and he goes, "That's." And his wife put her hand on her leg, and I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, and I told Chris, I'm like, "This is when this gets out. I can only imagine the lives that it's going to touch, and I need it to come out because I want, and I have a big shoes to fill. I do. I have huge shoes to fill, and I said I'm scared all the time. They're gonna military's gonna be looking at me like you better have it nailed to the wall when you do this, and I know that, and it's like I have huge shoes to fill, but I think the story needs to be told, and
Yeah.
I've never thought anything but getting it out there. There's no plan B. You have a plan B,
Yeah.
comes plan
Exactly.
B. So you're
Yep.
trying everything
I
to
love
get it
it.
out because, it's like more people talking, maybe more resources will come out. Maybe people will make donations to charities and things that can get more resources for people. Maybe the government might actually step in and go, wow, someone from the government watches the movie and go, this,
Yeah.
I mean, what can we do? But it has to be done because people taking their own lives because they can't handle society is ridiculous. We can't have that anymore. We need people to
Well,
be here. We need these people in our lives. They served our country. We need them still. They're loved ones.
Absolutely.
They're parents. Their sons. There's aunts, uncles. There are all these people. We need them in the world, and we don't need them taking their lives. We don't.
and I
No.
think the biggest example that I always use when I talk about the movie and I talk about some of the conversations I've had with our veterans, you know, and even my father would always say this: you before you get deployed, you've got to go to boot camp. Before you get deployed, you're trained to become a killer. You're trained to work on the HVAC systems. You're trained to uh, know how to create clean drinking water so that your troops, your regiment will have clean drinking water. You have a job. You're given jobs. You're given the structure you need. You're given the brotherhood, the sisterhood you need, and you have it. And then you're disciplined. You're disciplined. You're disciplined, and you do your time. And then you go home. And the moment you go home is the moment this gets taken from you. The brotherhood is kind of somewhat taken from you because we
Yep.
scatter. But there's no, I would like to call it reemployment or return to civilian life. There's
Yeah.
no, there's no committee. There's no group. There's there's nothing structured to help our veteran coming home to get a job back in, because that's the hardest part, is you fitting back into civilian life, because the civilians are not disciplined the way that the military men and women are disciplined. And I know that working beside them and working with civilian people, because the civilian people don't have the tenacity that my military friends and colleagues do. And I love being with them more than I do the others, because in order to get through life, we need that discipline. And that's
Absolutely.
somewhat of that piece that isn't there. And I think that's why so many folks are falling apart, because they still have their trauma that they have to deal with. But on top of that, you add another layer of stress, because now I've got to get a job, I've got to get back into this. But how do I fit? And I don't really fit because I'm not like the civilian people that we protected and we did things for. I mean, does that make
No.
any sense?
That makes to me it makes 100%. You are different. You're not better. You're not worse. You're different, and you gone through things and seen things that none of these people are ever going to understand. Um, so yeah, there needs to be some sort of reintegration program, like an official reintegration program, and it's multi-level. They're dealing with these traumas and need to process, because no one's processed them at this point.
Yeah.
um, Job and opportunity employments, what's going on there. They have GI Bill and stuff so they can get their education.
And
But
that's great. That
while
doesn't
you're
need
getting
to
your
go away.
education, what are you doing for money at that point too? I mean,
Yeah.
there are so many dynamics at work here, so many levels. You're reintegrating with a family now that you haven't seen, for a potentially long period of time. And again, the stuff that you've gone through, you're coming back a totally different person than the person that walked out of that door. And again, I'm not saying you're better. I'm not saying you're worse. You are a totally different person, and you don't even know yourself in many respects.
No, you
And they're
don't.
certainly not going to know you.
Yeah. And on top of that, and when you take that and you go into even the nurses that come back and the doctors that come back that are in the military, they're different.
Yeah.
Even nurses within ourselves, as we go through working the amount of years that we work, we are different. I can't go to a party and fit into a party like and talk about things that other women talk about, because I don't work that way. I
Yeah.
look at life so different, because one moment you're standing in front of me and the next moment you may not be standing there. And it might be me trying to help you get through it and trying to teach you how to live. The way I look at things now is completely different than when I started 30 years ago in nursing.
Oh, 100%. And I remember '05, one of my really good friends committed suicide, and I was trying. I was so sad. I was trying to make myself cry. I couldn't cry. And I remember looking in the mirror and I'm like, "What the fuck is wrong with you, man? Are you broken?" Like I literally thought I was a broken man. How do you not feel this to where I'm crying? And unfortunately, you learn to control your emotions so much that you learn not to feel things.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word, you don't let anything hit you, and you're a human being first, no matter what uniform you're wearing. You're supposed to feel emotion, and not feeling is not a good thing.
No, it's not. And I've been there, and I struggle daily on that, daily.
Yeah. I found my healing with plant-based medicines, ayahuasca being the first, and it allowed me to see and feel things differently and that I've never seen or experienced before. And, changed me over the course of a weekend, changed my entire soul, my essence as a man. And, I was able to become vulnerable and feel. And I'll tell you, if that's one message you guys could somehow work into that movie, it's the ultra importance of a man being able to feel vulnerable. Because once he can do that, he can let people in and he can tell them how they're feeling, because we just become so calloused up that we don't think anyone, like you said before, people don't understand. And it's a fine line. Like when you come home and you're in that, you're feeling horrible, but Andrew's there, and now you're the wife. Like, do you shut it down completely, or you let him a little bit? How much do you tell him? You want to kind of let him know how you're feeling, but you don't want to tell him everything because he doesn't need to hear that. It's such a tightrope that you're walking in these careers, you know? And, Andrew, as a spouse of a nurse, like, Carissa's coming home after seeing and experiencing things that, hopefully you'll never do in your life. And it's so tough for her to just turn on, you're like flipping switches, man. Turn this one off, turn that one on. And you almost feel like you're an actor at some points. Like, let me be a good wife and, just forget about everything else and just bury it. And you know what? You can bury that shit only to a certain point, and eventually it's all coming out, and it's going to manifest itself in very unhealthy ways, as we see with your movie, because it's grounded in reality. This is what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
and I'll tell you with Carissa a couple of years ago when we had COVID, we
Oh
were
God.
living in Orlando, and I had no idea what the hell this is. I'm like, okay, so you're working in the hospital, and what? And this is right when it was starting. We happened to go on a cruise right before they shut down the cruise ships. We came off, we're like, wow. And I knew something was going on, so I said, stock up on food right now. I was like, we're going to do this. So I don't know what's going. We're going on this vacation. We're safe to go away. We came back. All of a sudden, it exploded. And Carissa was like, they're like, well, we don't have any work, but we can have you help in the COVID wing. And I'm like, what? So first thing I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God. So she ended up opening up as a nurse all the COVID wings pretty much in Orlando at all these different hospitals. And every day I'm like, take it off of the front door. The neighbors, I don't care. So you're not coming in the house. And I'm like,
I'm not going to be naked outside. I kept telling him that. I
We're
have
not bringing this in the
explained so
house.
many things. Don't make me get undressed outside. And I'm arguing with a plain glass window, and my neighbors are watching, and they know I'm working the COVID units because I look really terrible coming in. You end up with the outside scars. And he's like, no, get undressed, put your clothes in the bag, spray your shoes down. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to put it in the doorway, close the door, and undress in my house.
Yeah.
You're not going to get COVID from this.
But I mean, that wasn't even the big thing. What we noticed was each day it was getting worse. Because as COVID started spiking up, the amount of deaths that were happening with her, all those stories you hear on TV, absolutely real. She'd come home and I'm like, and I'm going to share things you don't want me to share, but I'm going to share them anyways. She started drinking heavily, to the point where I'm finding, and I come from a military family. My grandfather was a chief in the Navy. And he came back. He served World War II, and he served, and he was drinking he would hide liquor bottles all over the place. And I was getting flashbacks of that right away, first thing. And I'm like, I can't live with an alcoholic. I'm not going to. So I was like, I started pouring it out. I kept finding it. I'm like, this has got to stop. And
But I kept coming home, not being able to talk about it with him. I kept struggling because I put whole families in a body bag, in body bags in 1 hour. And multiple times in a day, I had to watch it still gets me. I had to watch a guy die by himself because I couldn't let that family walk in because the administration said no visitors. And I have to gear up, and I'm geared up in my gear. I'm in the room, and this person's dying, and I can't even give them the dignity that they deserve. And all I could do is hold their hand and pray and feel the pain of what that feels like. And then at the same time, I've got a video screen of the family witnessing it through the video, and it's just heart wrenching. And then
Oh,
I
yeah, I
come
can't even
home,
imagine.
and I don't want to talk about it, but I need to talk about it, but I don't know how to tell my husband what I'm going through because I
Yeah.
don't want him thinking he needs to pull me out of there because there's nowhere to pull me to. This is what I do. This is, and those were many arguments we had. And so, yeah, the alcohol seemed to help, and it was numbing it, but it wasn't really helping. It was making things worse. And it wasn't a good piece. And so I'm proud of what, as a couple that we did, because Andrew, I'm going to let you tell about that, what you found to
So
help me.
I said, you've got to stop this when you come home. You've got to. As soon as you come in the house, you've got to somehow keep it at the door. And just, I know it's going to be a little hard work, but we're going to have to come up with things to do when you get home. So we were out. I was getting a transistor for the AC unit. I was like, we had an AC unit would pop out and flow. I'm sure you've had these where you have to screw it back in and the AC comes back on. We used to keep them on the shelf, and I was out of them. So we went to the store in Orlando, and I picked up some transistors for the AC unit, and they had a video game machine there. One of the old ones from the '90s. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how much is it? $300? We're taking it. She's like, really? I'm like, yes. Where do you want to put it? Put it in the living room. And I'm like, you want that in the living room? So
Yeah.
we ended up taking the video game machine. And we still have it in and we don't live in Orlando anymore, but we have it in our formal dining room. We started adding other machines like Mortal Kombat and stuff, but we came up with something that could be a distraction mentally when she came home.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, this is done, this is on, turn this off, turn this on. And, we did video games. I ended up getting her a hot tub outside, which we were on this lake in the back. So it was cool. You come outside, it's like, COVID, no one's doing anything. We're at home, we're playing video games, we're having fun, cooking. I geared it all towards a mental distraction for a while instead of alcohol and whatnot. And I'm not an expert. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I just know I'm like, we can't keep going like this, and you've got to have an out somehow. And she loved
Yeah.
the video
No, you need
game seemed to be
outlets.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite game, I know a lot of people will laugh, but I like games that are very very horror. I like to kill people in the games. I love being Freddy Krueger on Mortal Kombat. I like to take those hands and rip that spine out and hear it, and it's like, yes, because I when I think about it and as I'm playing, it's just a total distraction. And I like to play some of those games where you're trying to find things and trying to get through certain levels. It's fun. And as we started doing that, I felt better, and I actually was excited to get home. Because before I wasn't excited to get home because I had nothing. When I would go home, it was just a TV show that really didn't help me. And it was, I can't talk. And after having something to come home to and be laughing again and having fun with my spouse, then everything else just kind of started working into place. And I still have moments where I still struggle with, the realities of what I had to go through, but
of course.
now look, there's been time apart from a length of time apart that I can talk about it better, and I can express my feelings better. And I also do art and paint and draw, and so working on, okay, I don't want to open a bottle of alcohol because that's not going to do anything for me. It was just destroying my marriage and destroying me, and that's not who I am. And so instead of doing that, I find opening up a new canvas and a new paintbrush and buying a new video game to play was much healthier. And now my new aspect is making horror films and getting people to see things from a nursing perspective. And it's not really a nursing perspective, but from a trauma nurse and how it looks like. When you watch my proof of concept trailer, I'm very proud of those guts. I know Andrew laughed. It's like, God, I'm so sick of you
That's
hearing about
hilarious.
how proud you are of guts. But I found McKaylin. She's a young lady, and she's working on becoming a special effects artist, and she likes acting. So I asked her to team up with me and work on guts. Because when I was trying to figure out how to create them, everybody's like, oh, Guthrie says, just get some pantyhose and stuff it with this and put the blood in it. I'm like, that doesn't look like guts. I know what guts looks like. So McKaylin and I came up with our guts. We created it, and then we shot that baby, and it looks like guts. Everybody that watches it, they're just like, oh my God. And I'm like,
What'd you guys use for real
okay, so
guts, real looking guts?
so what we did was McKaylin came up with, the sausage casings?
Yeah.
Okay, so like the intestine, the casings that you package sausage in.
Yep.
She got that, took that stuff out. She got spaghetti in there, and then worked them through. And when you first look at it, I'm like, oh gosh, it's just too light. I know what guts look like. This isn't dark enough. It's not big enough. So we took a bowl of them and we dropped them in the bucket of blood, the fake blood. And she's got some good fake blood. Everybody has a special
She's got
recipe
good
of
fake
fake
blood.
blood.
That's hilarious.
Her fake blood is top, baby. So we dropped it in there and we waited. Came back, took a look at it, and I'm like, oh, we've got it. Because it had to soak in the blood, and then it expanded. So you've got some sections of the gut that expands, and what people don't realize is when you eat, the food goes down
Doing the
through
same
your
thing.
stomach,
Yeah.
and it does the same thing. So it's just it's the little intricacies of special effects that I enjoy. And to me, if you're gonna ask me to sit and watch a horror movie and you blew a head up, the head isn't gonna blow up how you see it in the movies. It's a
No, I
fictional
know.
head blow. I know
Yeah.
what the head's gonna look like. I've seen enough of them come through.
I know exploded heads.
Yeah, and matter of fact, like I just had a young person come through. Unfortunately, had their arm degloved. Where
Ooh.
I'm sorry,
We
Andrew.
get caught in a machine or something?
No, they ended up. Okay, you're never going to want to do this, but I like to hold my hand out the window of a car moving.
Yep.
Hold it out, kind of set it right there, and you're just kind of letting the wind hit your elbow. That arm was holding out. The car rolled. The arm was
Oh,
outside. It ended up looking like Gumby. The bones were not fractured, which was crazy. I know he's having a hard time with it,
it's
but
so funny.
the circulation structure of your arteries and veins totally gone. So
Ooh.
we couldn't get anything. We couldn't attach. There was nothing. There was no way. So amputation was there. But
Gosh.
just the look of it was beautiful. I was like, oh, this would be a great horror aspect. And here I am thinking horror movies, and I'm trying to be a nurse, and I'm just like, oh gosh.
That's hilarious. I was the gore cop, so we went on 80 cases. We were EMTs, so we were responsible to all 80 cases. And then the fire chief knew he was a paramedic on the side when that was his real gig. And but like Mike, anything they had, cool. Like, you want to check this out? So I remember more specifically, this dude was cut. He had a cut that went down to his skull. It was probably. I mean, I love seeing that stuff. So it was like one of the
Well, that's
sickest
my
ones.
thing.
I'm like, bro, you mind if I take a picture of your head? He's like, what? No,
Yeah.
take a picture. I don't care. So yeah, I love gore.
And I have dealt with
Angie's
people that have
tripping
been,
out over there.
yeah,
And I'm
he
the
can't
actor
handle
too.
it.
I'm telling you,
I
Yeah,
can't even
exactly.
share my stories with him because he can't handle it. I mean, I have dealt with people that have been impaled through the stomach, been impaled through the chest. I had one guy come in, he'd been stabbed, I don't know how many times. We finally find another knife stuck in him. I'm like, hey, did you
Damn.
realize you had it back here, man? It was right back here. And I'm like,
Holy
do I take it out or do I leave it? Do I wait for the surgeon? If I take it out, you're just sitting here going, okay, what are we going to do?
Yeah. And he's
And then
saying,
my blood.
we're not like other people. Like, these are your work decisions. Do I take the knife that's plunging this dude's back out or not? Meanwhile, other people are like, should we have this meeting at 3 or 3:30 today? Yeah. Slightly different.
Yeah.
and you would think I'd be used to this. I that's all I do is kill people in movies. So it's like you would think I'd be fine with this. And she's like, yeah, on the proof of concept. But the funniest thing was, no one realizes, like, if you see a scene, like you're watching it, within 2 feet of there's like 50 people standing around.
Yeah,
It's never just
exactly.
you, and it's like we want you to think that like it's just me and the person I'm killing in the movie. So her mother's standing right there. I jump on top. I start stabbing her. I thought her mother was gonna have a heart attack right there. And
No, but
That's hilarious.
before we actually did that scene, what a lot of people don't realize is if it if mom is there, I have to have a conversation with mom. So I'm like, Susan, this is what it's gonna look like. If you can't handle watching it, I'll have you go stand 50 feet over there. It's gonna be okay. She's not gonna be killed. We made
Yeah.
sure everybody talked about what was going to happen. McKaylin talked it out with Andrew. Andrew talked it out with McKaylin. Just making sure safety and everybody feels good as you're killing them. I mean, this is the most hilarious concept
It
of
really is.
I have to have with everybody.
Yeah.
But the look on her face was, it for me, it was priceless because I'm like, okay, this looks real. I've nailed it.
oh, she
Exactly.
broke the knife too. I was sitting there
Yeah.
stabbing, and then I said, "Okay, put up a little struggle." And then I'm like,
No, I told her to fight.
I was like, "The knife's broke. Here you go. Do I get to keep it?" So I broke
Damn.
it. Yes. Here, we'll use another one. This is your souvenir. I had to get another fake knife. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this is not happening today. And
That's
when we
great.
did that proof of concept, it was in the teens outside. It was literally
Bleeding.
18 or 19, and I'm wearing a t-shirt, freezing to death. It was so cold, I think I took a drink out of like the bottle, and you could see water. It was supposed to be liquor falling down the side of my mouth because my lips were frozen. I'm smoking, and I'm like, it's 18 degrees outside when I'm filming this, and it took 7 or 8 hours to get 3 minutes of the
Ooh.
fake movie done, which is the proof of concept. It's not actually going to be in the movie, but I mean, I'm walking down the road with a cross and a shovel, and I'm like, this is not warm whatsoever. And it's like 18 degrees. I'm like trying to make it look normal, and it was rough. 7 or 8 hours filming that thing.
But the
Yeah,
only
people think
person,
the movie making business is so glamorous. When I was in
oh
Atlanta, I
yeah,
used to work movie sets, TV sets, commercial sets, and first time or two, I was pumped to get there, and you're like, holy shit, this is the boringest job. It was cool you talking to the cast and the crew, but as far as glamour, nothing close to glamorous as you're filming something.
Oh no,
no, not at
I
all.
did a police scene one time, and they're like, "Okay, start outside the car." No, that's not working. Go over here and start. This is going to be one where you start the scene. No, that's not working. Go around. Go this. They had me in the car, get out, talk the lines, go through, take the person in the back, throw him against the car. But this took 2 hours to figure this out because they kept filming it. They're like, "We don't like any of this." So it's boring because you do the same things over and over, and it's like back to one. Okay, we're going back to one. We're starting at the beginning of the scene here, and it just people don't
Yep.
realize. And it's like as an actor, you're just like you forget that you don't even know the camera's there. You don't know anyone else. I'm literally, if it's Michael, it's you and me. I know you're there, and that's it. I mean, literally, whoever I'm in the scene with, the rest you don't even know is there. If you're
Yeah.
in the moment, you don't. I literally space out when I'm doing movies. I don't know anyone else is even in the scene with me except for the people that I have to interact with, and it happens over and over. And the bad thing is, I was filming Devour down in Atlanta where I played a cop, and I remember they reblocked the scene. I was with Gavin Wild from Righteous Gemstones and Halloween Kills and Black Phone, and I had him on the ground with a gun, and I go, and they're like, cut, and I step back, and the camera guy was literally, I tripped over the cinematographer, and I'm like, why didn't you tell me the cinematographer is sitting on the ground a foot away from me when I was doing the scene? And it's like, you forget.
That's
If
pretty
they don't
funny.
tell you when blocking is where they want you to be. So wherever they
Yeah.
do it, when they reblock you, sometimes you're so used to doing it 20 times in this position, they reblock you. Like one time I was at a cemetery doing a scene, and they reblocked it after an hour and a half. It was 110 outside, and I'm sweating in deployment gear, and I'm like, okay, stay back, and then I turn around. They reblocked it about 2 hours later, and I tripped over, and I went face first into the gravel, and I look up, the
Ooh,
whole crew's
nice.
looking like, thanks guys, I'm good. No one want to help?
But I
Yeah,
had it on
exactly.
camera. I
Oh,
had it on
nice.
It
camera.
was out of frame, and she was videoing this on my phone just so I could see the scene. It was out of frame, thankfully, like
Got
out
it.
of frame, but
Oh, that's great. Yeah, there's some funny stories come off of those sets. I remember I got to a commercial. It was for Georgia Lottery, and they had a crisis Sebring. It was convertible. The convertible was down, and the driver's seat was missing. So when I cast it down, I'm like, "Hey, what's up with the seat missing?" They're like, "Oh, you haven't seen him?" I'm like, "Seen who?" The main character of the commercial comes out, Black dude, 7'2". I was like, holy shit, bro, nice to meet you. And we get to talking during the day, course of the day. He's like, oh, so let me ask you a question. And he's like, you pull me over and I get out and want to fight you. What do you do? I'm like, honestly? He's like, yeah. I'm like, double tapping your chest and one in your head. He's like, seriously? I'm like, bro, you're 7'2", 400 pounds. You think of fighting you? I can easily articulate that being a deadly force situation. And he was so taken aback. It was so funny. And I'm like, don't worry, it's not going to happen. But yeah, I'd have to kill you. Hysterical. It really was.
Yeah.
So listen, guys, it's been a fantastic speaking to you. Tell everyone, and everything will be in the bio as well. But how do they get in touch with you personally? How do they contribute to the project? If they want to be involved in the project, which I'm actually thinking about myself. Cross it off the bucket list.
I would love to
We'd
have
love
you
to
on.
have you on board.
Completely.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
But I mean, with the perks, and Carissa will tell you how to, any perk is available to anyone. You don't need to be in the entertainment business to get a producer perk. You want to be the executive producer? We have one that you contribute money. You're on the, you'll be at the beginning of the movie, end of the movie on IMDb, which is the Internet Movie Database. You'll have credit there. You can get any of what we call perks. They're just thank yous for contributing. Even if it's an actor, you could be in a scene with me. You could be in a scene with, you know, the Air Force Amy. We have a big bar scene that you can be in, but we need your help. We really do. This movie cannot get off the ground without the support. And we've had a lot of vets support us already. And, you know, I think it's going to impact the veteran community more than any community out there. So Carissa will tell you how to support us with the movie financially, at least.
Okay.
So you can go to the Indiegogo campaign. You just go to Google, type in A Soldier's Descent and Indiegogo. And I sent you the link so you could share with your listeners.
Okay. Yep.
I sent you the link that is the Indiegogo campaign. So then when you go to that, you can see in the campaign, you'll see on one side the list of our cast. We don't have everybody in there, but we have a lot of folks listed in our cast. And then you can see the proof of concept trailer. You can watch that. I put that there for a lot of people just to kind of have an idea of what this is, a little taste, a snippet of it. And then on the left-hand side, I'm thinking visually. On the left-hand side, it'll say perks. And you can go down and look at all of the perks and read what those entail. If you're wanting to just contribute and not purchase a perk and just have a contribution, that is all the way to the left, and it just says contribution, and you put in the monetary amount that you want to contribute. If you want to do a veteran producer perk, I have a veteran producer perk. You click on that, it'll take you to what it is, and then you put your information in and your credit card aspect in, and then you have that perk purchase. What we do with our perks, anyone that buys our perks, we do announce it on our Facebook page, because we want people to know what's going on, and we want to say thank you at the time of the purchase aspect of it.
Sure.
When it comes to the casting roles, I don't have everything listed on the Indiegogo site, so people just need to reach out to me personally, and then I can go over what that entails, because certain roles, like I shared with you yesterday, certain roles cost certain amounts because it encompasses a lot. I have Lenny, who has 30 plus lines, and he has an amazing scene for anyone who wants needs a very serious reel. A super amazing scene. He is stopping a suicidal moment, and that's all I'm going to say about that scene. And then I have, I still am trying to.
And he gets to play with Air Force Amy too, from Cat House.
Oh yes, he's in with Air Force Amy.
Yeah, and
Okay.
the bars. Yeah, so there was cool
the bar
scenes
with
of
Air
that.
Force Amy. I have perks to fill the bar that I need to fill with, and I really want, honestly, in my heart, I want my veterans in my bar, and I would love to fill it because I want to make the bar a veteran place and have certain flags up, certain themes up in the bar to showcase everything. But I would like to fill it with our veterans, and
So, for instance, that part, how much would that cost someone?
I'm thinking, going off of memory,
I think it's
I'm thinking it's probably around the 400s.
Well,
You get to meet Air Force Amy, get autograph with her. And there's no speaking lines. It's just literally in there. You know, you'll be in the movie and.
So it'd be cool if there's like a group of guys, you know, boys that want to be in something cool together for $100. You guys are in a scene of a movie together, just chilling at the table. Like it'd be just a great story for you
Yeah,
guys.
absolutely.
Totally. And it's a whole day shoot. It's not just, oh, I'm only going to do this for 1 hour. No, you were with me for the whole day. And you are my family now. And you were with me in that bar. And you're going to watch how we make this magic happen. And that's why I
Yeah.
think it's such a great experience for a group of guys to come in and take over. And I'm telling you, I love Air Force Amy. She is a hoot. And that's why I casted her for the bartender role. And I still have a bartender role to be beside Air Force Amy in the scene as well. That is a perk that you can purchase as well. You just have to reach out to me. And but that scene is going to be amazing because you're going to see Barney, you're going to see Lenny, you're going to watch them interact, you're going to see Sue, and then you're going to get to witness what happens at the end aspect of that. We'll have a few people that are going to be finding that ending aspect because that's a PTSD scene that I have created that is real, that I've talked to other veterans and that have shared with me what it was like trying to date people and then getting triggered in the middle of a date and what that feels like. I'm just trying to make it as real as possible. So that
absolutely.
Christina's never going to be friends with me again after that scene.
No. Yeah, I know. I'm a little worried about that scene. But, so that's some of the things that you can purchase. We just reach out to me on Facebook. You can find me, Carissa Pearson. Look up A Soldier's Descent. We have Philip Herman's A Soldier's Descent public group, and you can reach me from that. I'm not hard to find. Just if you Googled me on Google, and I was a little shocked, you put my name in, my IMDb comes up, and you can reach me through there because I have my phone number there too. And
nice.
And you can reach out on A Soldier's Descent at gmail.com as well. You can email us and just send me your phone number and I'll call you.
And if there's anyone that wants to actually give a larger amount and wants to own a piece of the movie, we actually have a vet hopefully coming through with a good chunk, and we'll give you a piece of the profits. It's a partnership with it where you'll get senior executive producer. You'll have a piece of the action, whatever the box office is. We have that available too. Even in a smaller amount.
Get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, so it's like you'd own part of A Soldier's Descent as well. We're not going to sell the whole thing. I mean, we need to keep some of it, but we have half of it is going to be up for grabs. Well, 45% at this point up for grabs. So,
okay.
So if that's something we're definitely interested in people that want to come in and partner up with us for the actual.
We need
movie.
help. We need people to partner with us. We want a partner. We want someone to go, okay, what do I need to do, and just stand beside us and help us get this done. And
right.
And on top of that, we do have sponsorship for people that have their product. If they have a military design T-shirt, and I'll put everybody in that for the bar scene. I want to be creative.
How much would something like that cost? I was always curious to get say you had a T-shirt, I wanted this on. How much should something like that run?
If it's like just a one shirt, like this one right here, steel that I have on, maybe $2,500. But if you want the whole bar, we probably could do the whole bar with different, not matching, but all different ones.
Right.
You could probably customize something, $5, $10K. You would own the bar pretty much, and
yeah.
And that way you get your people wearing the shirts. It's kind of cool, and we'd love to hear
good
from
advertising right there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of companies that literally work with PTSD. Like they'll make bracelets. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Hero Company. That's one that I'd love to be doing something with. But what they do is they sell a lot of things. Bracelets and things like that, military type stuff, and it all supports PTSD. And they donate. They've already donated $1.5 million, I believe it is, to help vets get dogs that are trained for that. So I was like, it's a great company, and I'd love to be involved with a company like that.
And if there's anybody that has, if you have a brand of alcohol that I've got to fill a bar scene, I've got a bar scene, and you want your brand to be showcased. And that's what's being, in the bar scene. Bring it. I'll get you there. We'll work something out. I'm trying to be creative to help, not just have an impact to help us make the movie, but also to help the folks that are, the businesses that are coming up and trying to edge themselves in to get the brand known. And this is a great way to do that.
Oh, absolutely. It's amazing. So many monetization opportunities or something like this. You don't even realize until he starts speaking to you guys and you throw them out like, oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
So
I have a scene that is the gas station scene. If you've got snacks that you sell, like cookies that you brand, and you know what, it doesn't matter because it's a fictional movie. We'll just
right.
stock it on the shelves, and that's what Barney's grabbing when he's coming in. That's what Mel grabs as he passes Barney. We can make, I can make a lot of that stuff work. I just want people to go, okay, hey, I want to put my product in the movie.
And if you want
Let's
to be an
do it.
actor, you want to try it out. We have stuff with even just a few lines. We'll get you through it.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a thespian or you're not gonna have to sing. Just be you and deliver them normally. Especially if it's a vet type role, just be you and
Yep.
deliver everything normally. And we'll get you through that. If you want to be in the movie, we'd love to have you because you don't need to. This isn't. You're not Tom Cruise. It's just a regular thing because this is how
I just bought
regular
the
life
smoking
is.
out.
Yeah.
Had the smoking out jacket in the ascot too. I was pumped. Looked apart, but yeah, I'm definitely thinking about it. Cross it off the bucket list
Well, we've got some great. I mean,
potentially.
even if you wanted one with more lines, we've got. Lenny's a coveted. I know Lenny's a coveted part, and it's like that's like kind of like a friend of mine at the bar, and it's like it's if someone is involved with that one, you won't get that. Like if you're an actor, you'll never see another opportunity like that. It's not going to happen. They don't show the one show on Netflix that showed suicide had such. It was 13 Reasons Why. It was so hard for them to do that. So the fact that it's even close to that, that's why I said that's a big, big, big scene. It just, you don't see that in movies. So that's a pivotal one. Anyone that
Okay.
has that's going to have real time for life. It's like, and I try to
Yeah.
tell people, Lenny's the one that I'd love to see cast next. I'd love to see a veteran in there because, it would just
I've
be,
been
it would
trying to
hard hit.
cast a veteran in there, and people like the scene. It's just they don't understand the cost aspect. Everything does cost because we're trying to put the movie in the theater. We're trying to make
Yeah.
sure that we have value. And if I didn't put a price tag on something, unfortunately, then it's not going to get done, and it's not going to have the quality I want.
Right.
We're also casting for Daniel, Barney's best friend, and that's a huge part. That's 30 plus lines and more scenes. You have scenes with Air Force Amy. You have scenes with Leonora Skelfel from Scream. Those are some big pieces.
And me,
All
of
right. Good.
course. And me. But I mean,
Yeah,
you get a lot with the main actor, and that one, and that's the guy that he doesn't make it. That's my friend. That's the other thing that sets us off. You have my wife, and then you have my best friend Daniel, and that's it. After that, there's no other tie to me staying grounded in this movie. So
Right.
there's some Lenny, Daniel, big pivotal roles in this movie. And that's why I'd love to see them get cast. I mean, that'd be the
and
next
then
thing.
I also have Pete. Pete has a dual name aspect because Pete is captured. He's in the capture scene with Barney, and unfortunately, Pete doesn't make it out. And so then Pete becomes Shadowy Pete because there's a PTSD scene and nightmare scene that I've created for Pete to have and portray. So and that is a big, that's an important scene because you know anytime a brethren is with a brethren, and whether you're captured or in war, if one of you doesn't make it back, the other one has, you have that guilt
Oh
because
yeah.
it's there. We know this. And so that makes that scene is powerful as well, and will be a great real scene for anyone who wants to take that scene on. I still am casting for that. I'm still casting for campers, and we've got a lot of opportunities, and we've
Yeah.
still got to get our cast done. And that's what's part of being a part of the cast. That's what's also funding the production.
Right. All right. Well, hopefully, I'll be able to do my part here and get you some of these positions filled. I'd love to do so. So, guys, reach out if you're interested. It'd be, something. It'd just be a fantastic story for the rest of your life if you're not looking to be an actor. Just be a great thing to do. So, get in touch with Carissa, Andrew, guys. I wish you the best. It was great speaking to you.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you for
anything you
serving,
guys
by
need,
the way.
obviously throw.
I never
Uh,
thanked you at the beginning, but thank you for
Yeah.
serving.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much for acknowledging. Anything I could do to help you guys along the way, please feel free because I love the cause, and I can't wait to see it in the theaters.
Thank you, Michael.
And you're welcome to come out on set. I'd love to have you
Yeah,
on
you
set.
can.
Yeah, I want to make try to make a trip out to LA, so it could coincide. It could be perfect.
We'll get
So
We
you
make
shall
that
see.
happen.
We'll get you passes.
Absolutely. Beautiful. All right, guys. Thank you again.
Thank you,
Thank
Michael.
you.